What's up, guys? It's your boy, not Satan, your 69 favorite Korean immersion learning YouTuber. Now, sorry for the background noise. It's a bit noisy living in a UFO, so bear with me. But anyways, today's a glorious, momentous occasion. 13 months in the back. Wow, 13 down, 69 to go. Anyways, I know some of y'all are here for the unboxing video only, right? So that'll be a bit later. So I'm gonna go over the stats first. Timestamp in the description. Anyways, let's go through the stats first. Okay, huge month. Okay, huge month this month. Active hours this month, 58 hours active. Reading, 72 hours. Anki. Now I think I made a bit of a calculation error. So I think it's wrong, but so 338 cards. Take that with a grain of salt. And then 10 hours on the SRS. Wow. Then 67 passive hours. So that brings my monthly total to 207 contact hours, and then that brings my overall lifetime total to 2,205. So big deal, right? Anyways, the most significant change I made this month is Anki, right? So as you can tell, SRS hours, I'm down to 10 hours for the entire month. Okay, 10 hours the entire month. Now, if you think about it, it doesn't really match with the amount of cards I made. But that's because this month I made the decision. Alright, for the past 2 weeks I've been doing only 5 new cards a day. Alright, 5 new cards. You might think I'm crazy, right? But I'm telling you, for some reason I was at the stage, I'm pretty much 8k cards. At this stage, I can't afford to do any more cards because the more I do, the more new cards I make. It's like an exponential increase in the amount of cards I have to review, right? Because all the cards add up. It's cumulative, right? So I had to, I was like, one day I woke up and I was like, damn, I had like 200 reviews, and I was like, no more, no more, stop it, get some help. So I was like, you know what? I don't need this shit in my life. So I brought it down to just 5 cards. Because guess what? We're all gonna die one day, right? No one on their deathbed is gonna be like, oh, I wish I did more Anki in my life, right? So you know what? I still got 69 more months to go, right? So just chill with the Anki. So honestly, I feel so much happier right now. 5 cards a day takes me less than 15 minutes to rep and make new cards, right? So I think the stats will be more clear next month, but I think this is probably the biggest change I've made this month is the amount of cards I'm doing. So in conclusion, Anki, only 5 new cards a day, and which is basically just 15 minutes a day. So wow, big change. Now, as you can tell, reading hours went up, right? So actually, you know what? I think it will be even higher. It will be higher next month because it carries over. But this month, I don't know what got into me. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna read. I'm gonna be literate, right? Because I actually want to be literate. But of course, Krashen talks a lot about, Professor Krashen talks a lot about the power of reading, right? So as long as you just read, you're getting comprehensible input. And so I don't know why, because I used to think of reading as a chore. But then one day I just woke up and something clicked in me, and I just started reading for fun, and then I realized that my brain just exploded because there's this world out there for me to explore, right? All these books. I think a big part of that was probably I read the book The Shallows by Nicholas Carr, obviously in Korean, and then I realized that, you know what, all this new multimedia is literally making us more dumb by the second, right? Every second you put into multimedia, you're literally getting dumber, right? and so I just went crazy. So I've even started reading more English books, right? So, um, anytime I'd be on social media and YouTube, I'm just reading stuff, right? Because I'm gonna die. I don't know why I keep saying that, right? But one day, right, I'm gonna become old, and then I want to make sure my brain still works, right? So, and even right now, right, I'm still a young gun, right? So I don't want to lose my focus, my brain, at such a young age. So I just gotta read. But one thing I did realize was, I know this can be controversial, right? But I did a lot more extensive reading, right? So, because I realized that, honestly, um, okay, maybe like the neuroscience stuff, I kind of just glossed over it. I didn't really understand much. I wasn't too interested in reading the like in detail, but I think I was okay with that. But then, all the other information, the history bits, and the lifestyle bits, it all just entered my brain. I was just reading it and I was like, wait a minute, I didn't have to do intensive lookups to get the gist of it, because I guess if I get the gist of it, I can get the um, I can basically glean the meanings of each sentence. And so I think it is through this sort of extensive reading that I found the pleasure. I found pleasure in reading, because no longer was it this sort of chore. It was becoming entertainment in a sense, right? It's becoming entertainment. So now, you know, like just a couple days ago, a couple weeks ago, maybe 1 or 2 weeks ago, I was struggling to reach 2 hours a day. I was barely getting 1.5 hours a day, right? But then, when I turned on my reading switch, these days, 3 hours is the minimum for me, right? It's insane. Yeah, it's just insane. I'm looking forward. One of my goals is to eventually reach, 100 hours of reading a month. Because I think if I can get 100 hours of reading a month, like my language will just explode. Okay, it will just explode. Okay, so because I do believe I actually started my seriously reading brain. It only only developed like halfway through this month. So my stats is kind of it's a bit misleading, 72, honestly. Um, so I'm definitely excited to see what happens next. But in conclusion, I'm I can honestly say right now I'm a reader. I've become a reader. Like, I'm so looking forward to reading all these books, right? And but of course I've been reading a lot of translated stuff, which is, of course, it's not the most ideal. But you know what? I like them a lot, and it still follows because it's still translated by native anyways. So generally speaking, it counts. But once I'm finished with my current book, I'm looking forward to diving into literature written by natives, because like literature is it? Because if I can read those kind of books, wow, like it's I'm just so excited by all the sort of gains I can make, right? But um, yeah, that's for reading. Um, reading. So what's that? Active and passive. So it's been a funny week for me, honestly. Funny month. Sorry. I think because of the book, I sort of realized that I I was doing passive listening when I wasn't supposed to be, in the sense that I shouldn't be passive listening when I actually have to use my brain, right? But I shouldn't even be passive listening when I'm doing something else, because the thing is, because the thing is, um, the reason why passive listening works is because it doesn't matter how much you're actually paying attention to it. It's just that you are, um, unconsciously, your brain is unconsciously still receiving input, right? Um, which is true because it doesn't, which is probably why, it's not a good idea to do when you have very intensive tasks mentally, because what that means is you're overloading your brain with information, right? And when you're overloading your brain with information, the important stuff that you want to consolidate to your long-term memory doesn't get consolidated, right? Because there's so much information. It's like, it's like you're trying to fill a shot glass with a dam, right, a reservoir. So it doesn't work. So obviously it's overkill, right? So, um, I've just you know what, it's not the most important thing, right? But I found that in the morning when I'm making my coffee, uh, during lunch. I can squeeze in some passive hours in, and so 67. That's like about 2 point something a day. It's still decent, but it's definitely not the most extreme. It's definitely not. It's very far away from the upper limits of what could be possible with passive listening. Um, but you know what? It's not too important anyways. Now to the main point. Active. Now, as everyone can see, I didn't even get 60 hours in this month. Can you believe that? Because look, if you look at month 9, if I when I went back to month 9, I basically had 100 hours of active for a ninth month. Right now, 13th month, that's 58. That's less than 2 hours a day. And I think the bulk of it came from the first 2 weeks. The last 2 weeks I've been barely having any active, and by active I mean watching TV or watching YouTube. So what I found was, because I was watching the sort of variety shows, right, which was not really K-pop related. So I watched them because I thought they were fun, right? And they are fun, right? But then one day I was like, wait a minute, why am I watching this? This isn't even my goal, right? My time would be much better spent reading or actually watching content, right? K-pop content. Because let's be honest, that's where I want to be. Why am I not doing it? Like I just stopped watching it instantly. I have 2 hours, like 2 hours of my days just freed up, right? So guess what? That's where the reading time comes in. And then I at first I thought there was actually a lot of content to watch, K-pop wise, but then I realized I just started taking out and start unsubscribing to a lot of channels. I was very selective with my time because I only wanted to spend time on things which I absolutely enjoy, right? And then sadly a lot of stuff. Now that I look back in retrospect, now that I can reflect, I realized that a lot of the stuff was actually very low interest content. So, because at first, before you watch it, because that's how dopamine works, right? So, the way dopamine works is in your brain, it's the chemical. It's not the feel good chemical. It's the chemical that what's the word? The chemical that prompts you to do something, right? Because there's an expectation they'll release endorphins, right? But then it's kind of like a gamble. So the reason why you keep watching stuff is because at one point there was an expectation that was set, and because it wasn't met, the expectation for the sort of joy that you reap from watching particular content, it's already set by your brain, right? Based on previous experiences. So the thing is, because of course you get desensitized, etc., etc. But then dopamine, it prompts you to watch more content, to look for that high again. But the thing is, because it doesn't deliver, your brain wants to seek it out anymore, right? Because it doesn't know if the content that you watch next will indeed deliver the high or it won't. It's kind of like a slot machine. So that's why I was actually watching so much content, even though I didn't realize I wasn't so interested in it. It's because I was in a sense, it was like a slot machine, in a sense. So I've cut out a lot of junk content. So basically, I'm only watching the stuff which I'm enjoying, like for real. It's not easy because a lot of this stuff, 1 month ago I would have been like, damn, this is like prime time gold content. But then this month, man, honestly, there were even times where I was like, wow, I'd much rather be reading. So yeah, anyways. So I think it's been a crazy month, absolutely insane month for me. Because I really don't, it's just, this month has been something that not in a million years I would have thought would have happened, right? I've stopped watching all this content. I've stopped making all these Anki cards, so it's been crazy. It's been a crazy month, in terms of my mentality wise. So, because honestly, at some point I realized that basically, 69 months later, if I keep reading like this, it doesn't matter what I do. Like the language it's just gonna permeate every single brain cell I have, right? Even though I only have two, right? Even though I only have two brain cells, after a long time with enough reading, there's no way this language is gonna enter my brain, right? And it was crazy because what I realized was, like, the more I read, when I watched the content, in the evening, my brain just exploded because it was so comprehensible. Like it, like I'm like it's not even a meme. It was kind of like it's kind of like all this reading just sort of, or maybe another hypothesis I do have is that I do offer is that the content I was reading is aimed for people in their late 20s, early 30s, I guess. That sort of self improvement style literature, that isn't too dumb for kids, but isn't something like how to save your back or something, or how to, or like parenting guides. So it's kind of that sort of range, for the up and going, 20, 30-year old, right? And but then the content I was watching in the evening, let's be honest, it's basically meant for 12 year olds, I guess. Okay, it's meant for 12-year olds in a sense, right? Because these people, these kids, most of them haven't even graduated high school. They're I don't think they read that much, so their vocabulary is very limited. I mean, no shade, okay? This is reality, okay? This is reality. Um, so I mean, obviously they're not going to throw out a lot of complex words. So I think because I'm reading much more heavy content, in the morning and in the late afternoons, that when the time comes to watch the content in the evening, my brain is just like so ready. So it's not even funny. It's like I can just sit down and watch, and I can be like, wow, I understand all this. I mean, okay, maybe not everything, but it just feels like it's entering my brain, and, and it's like I don't even have to do anything. I know it's such a weird phenomenon. Yeah, but overall, I think and another one of the big changes is honestly, this book has been crazy. Like The Shallows by Nicholas Carr, everyone should read it. Honestly, everyone should read it, especially in your target language. Okay, especially in target language, because the insights about the internet and stuff like that. Wow, changed. I'm a changed man. Changed. Okay, changed. Born again. It's like even right now, all my devices right now, black and white, all grayscale. Um, and I deleted all the social media. Um, I have no apps on my homepage. It's extremely minimalist, right? Because I realized that basically, if I stop going on all these dumb apps, and stop checking all these social media sites before the evening, I have an infinite amount of free time to read, right? So I'm like, well, bruh, it's literally a no-brainer for me at this point. So yeah, if you're wondering why, some people might be wondering why, um, especially my homies on Weekly Core, they were like, oh, where'd you go, Kev? Um, where I've been going? I've been reading. That's what I've been doing. So yeah. So unfortunately, um, if you miss my horrible comments and my controversial hot takes, then too bad. Too bad. You'll have to catch me in the evening. Um, but you know what? Honestly, I think everyone should do it. Digital minimalism is definitely the way to go. It's the future. Because honestly, the time you spend, the time you spend not immersing is time spent not immersing, and time you spend immersing is time spent immersing. It sounds so simple, but trust me, most people don't realize this, right? So that's right. And honestly, I'm so happy that right now I'm letting my brain heal. I'm bringing back my ability to focus. Because this honestly has been like something taken away from people my age and even younger than me. Because we grew up about the time the internet was starting to grow, into this big thing, and so people started designing all these crazy websites, all this infinite scrolling, stuff like that. So I've literally spent like the past 10 years of my life, with all these horrible technologies, and so now I'm actually finally have the time to let my brain, heal from all the damage it's gone through. So yeah, that's a good thing. yeah, this has been a bit of a heavy talk, but anyways, lifestyle wise, I was definitely started the whole web dev thing again. I quit I quit last time, but then it's kind of like the whole Korean thing. It's just like I realized basically, um, it's definitely a better job for me, job outlook for when I graduate college because like you know I realized that every everyone needs a web developer basically. Because most people think that it's some magical people think it's like some magical wizardry that needs to go on behind the scenes. So most people don't know how to do it themselves. So everyone's going to need a web developer. So it's probably not going to go away until people can make AI that writes code. But that's probably 50 decades away or something. So anyways, yeah. Oh, that was a bit of. Anyways, overall, crazy month. I'm so excited to see what happens next month, right? So, anyways, kids, as always, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, and as always,